We're on.
Okay, I almost chastised Jesse earlier tonight because it sounded like a couple of times he was about to steal my thunder when we began talking about overseas international types of activity, which is what this particular segment is all about. You've been through two segments on the foundation as students. And the last one, I think, is one of the more exciting ones, which is about international service. That really kind of translates to what we would normally call global grants and the activities surrounding our clubs in the district's involvement in international, particularly Mexico, and our by district, if you will, by district activities in regard to international service. How many of you are familiar with global grants or our district's activities in international service?
Well, I know that we're active with the Guatemala projects.
Yeah.
Same here.
Okay. Yeah, that particular project has been ongoing for quite a while. It is part of an overall global grant project that was started years ago and continues to be renewed. But we're going to talk a little bit about the kinds of projects that we can do within our own district and how you can go about doing it. I happen to be the director of, I guess you'd call me the chairman of grants for the district, which I guess is one of the reasons why I get to talk about this subject. And it's kind of near and dear to my heart because it's fun to watch what happens when some of our clubs get involved in these international grants. So I'm somewhat deviating from the guide that you have in front of you because I think it's very important that you understand not only it from a RI standpoint, but from a district standpoint, because the district is here to give you the support you need should you want to get involved in international activities. So let me talk a little bit about that, but how many of your clubs are involved in international activities now?
Well, this year, we've partnered on the Guatemala project. Financially, that one doesn't feel like we're really doing much of anything.
You're just writing them a check, right?
Yeah, and it
Yeah.
doesn't feel as good.
Right.
A couple of years ago, we did a project partnered with another club in Oklahoma. That one was good because we could get feet on the ground and actually working in the villages and with the people and helping to educate them and deliver the use of these water filters, which that was tremendously fulfilling. And you got to see the people firsthand that were benefiting from your project.
Right.
Carlsbad has been actively involved with the Guatemala project too. In fact, one of our members, I think, has been down twice in the last 12 months. I don't know what exactly his activity is down there, Robbie Jacome, but he's been down there. We've been approached, I think, with one of the El Paso clubs and a Mexico club to do an initiative, but I don't know where that stands right now.
Okay. I guess that's all the feedback I'm going to get on that. Let me talk a little bit about what you have talked about just now. It's a little bit, it can be to a new member or someone just becoming familiar with international grants in our district, it can become a little confusing because we do it two different ways. When we talk about international activities when it comes to grants, we talk in terms of global grants when we are talking about it from a Rotary International standpoint. These grants, and this is from a reorganization that took place about 2 years ago, these grants are about $40,000 and above. So we're not talking about peanuts here. We're talking about, instead of just putting in a little bit of an educational program in some obscure place in India, we're talking about maybe putting in an entire potable water project for a village in South America, as an example, or if you will, Guatemala. And they're usually longer term in process. In our district, we have an organizational structure that we have a chair for what we call district grants, matching grants, and another individual that is in charge of the global grants. Those global grants are part of a Rotary International program, and they are done through an application to Rotary International. They're a little more, obviously, when you're talking about big bucks like that, they're a little more detailed in their planning process. All of it is online, so you can learn more about it that way. The other process that I want to talk about a little more, which seems to be the one that most of the clubs relate to, are what we call by-district programs. The by-district programs really are not part of the Rotary International Global Grant programs. There are clubs like your club or my club having a couple of $1,000 or maybe a couple of $100 that they want to do a good deed on an international basis. We have a by-district relationship with our sister district in Mexico. And we meet once a year, usually in Las Cruces. And our district clubs go down with what money they have. And the Mexican district member clubs have money in their pockets to reciprocate, if you will. And we, as individual clubs, decide what projects we'd like to support in that district. And that district's clubs look at some of our ideas here on our side of the border and, if you will, scratch our back because we've helped scratch their back. It has nothing to do with the Rotary International Foundation, but has everything to do with our district's relationship with that district in Mexico. My club, as an example, went to by district last year with about $4,000 in our pocket from our foundation, our local foundation, and we found 4 projects that we could support, giving each of them $1,000. And they found a project with our club that they're willing to support with their money. Are any of your clubs? I don't think any of your clubs have been involved in this.
I don't think ours has.
No, I don't think so either. The $40,000 global grants that I was talking about earlier have a whole bunch of specifications to them, and of course they have to fit the various functions that Rotary International espouses, such things as quality of life, giving, for goodwill and peace. Those kinds of things are good, and I'm not trying to push them down when I say that. I'm trying to emphasize the fact that they are very strictly managed. And we'll be glad to help you. We at the district will be glad to help you in working on those kinds of projects, but you have to know what you're getting into. I will also tell you that it's important to know if you're going to get involved with a Rotary Club in another country, that is very important that you understand that, make sure that that club understands Rotary International's rules when you're getting into it. We just had an incident about a year ago where one of our clubs got involved with a club in India. And it was a very good project, a very worthwhile project. But we quickly discovered that India has different rules about when and how they make their reports. And those rules aren't necessarily the same rules that RI or our district have. So it almost caused that particular club its charter, because if Rotary International does not know where its money is going to on these matching grants, they're going to start using a sledgehammer instead of a velvet hand to help you through that project. Most of the global grants that we have right now are working very well, and everybody is reporting as they need to. But again, it's because we've learned the hard way how to manage those. If you're interested in getting into a global grant, there are a lot of ways of finding out how to do that. The district has had a lot of experience with global grants, and of course, you can find out some of the global grant needs through Rotary International's Foundation. Have any of you ever looked into global grants?
No, I don't think I have.
Gail, I could read your lips, but you're on mute. There you go.
I was saying that it's too scary and intimidating.
It is a little intimidating, but we've got some people at the district that can kind of help you through it if that's what you want to do. I think most of our clubs, to be frank with you, are more interested in working in what we call the community grants, which in fact are what we call district supporting grants, matching grants, if you will. That's not to say a global grant isn't matching, it is. But some of the clubs seem to think that they can get more opportunity and more involvement if they're involved in the district grants for their community or someone else's community.
Dom?
Yeah.
Is it your sense that most clubs, we were talking in a previous session about getting someone who's really passionate about this to lead a project, is it your sense that most of the clubs have at least some members who are genuinely interested in these international projects and they just kind of need some hand-holding, or is this kind of a hard sell sometimes?
Much more the former than the latter. They don't need the hand-holding. They sometimes need an understanding of how to work with a sister uh, chapter, a club in a foreign country. The the clubs that are involved in international grants at this point are pretty savvy when it comes to how to manage them. And since a lot of them are large projects and ongoing, uh, there's a transition over the years from one individual to another, and they seem to do a pretty good job as far as the reports. Most of the international grants that we're involved in, we are the supporting club. It means that the international club that we're working with is responsible for furnishing the reports. And that's the key, is to make sure that we've got a club on the other side that is willing and able to do that. And I think generally speaking, that has not been much of a problem, although when it becomes a problem, it's usually a big problem. The ones in Mexico are usually pretty good. They may miss a report deadline, but if you call them on it, they're pretty good about responding. So most of these projects that we're talking about obviously are humanitarian in their nature. I think most of the projects that we see are either along the lines of literacy or health issues, usually water. Bringing water to a village, those kinds of things. Are you familiar with the word sustainability?
Yes.
That's one of the major criteria for a global grant. So if you get involved in a global grant, the first thing we're going to ask you is, what are you doing about training people to ensure on the other side that what you're doing is going to exist into the future? When Rotary first got into these kind of programs, they didn't think about asking that question. And a year or two later, when they went to check on how that water system was working, they discovered that the pump had quit operating about a year ago because nobody knew how to fix it. And that's a basic example of what sustainability is all about. So if you're interested in getting into a global grant, we've got the expertise to help you do it. We've also got the knowledge to advise you as to what might be the best way of approaching that kind of a project. And of course, the same thing holds true, as I've said in other sessions, about when we talked about district matching grants. So that's really the point I wanted to get across when we talk about international service projects, because when it boils down, that's what they are. They are grant-based projects. Do any of you have any questions about them or comments?
Just a one comment. I really like the insert IS2.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Chuck. If you would take a look at that, you can see the kind of questions on there that you've got to ask yourself when you're preparing to get involved in one of these kind of programs.
Maybe that's the scary part, Gail. Just how kind of central it is to everything, and everything kind of feeds into it, and it's got fingers and everything. It's I know we were involved in one a couple of years ago, and something like this would have helped me think about all the different pieces that need to go into a successful international project and how you can leverage it into so many other aspects of what the club is doing, as opposed to one committee focusing on one project, kind of a standalone thing that really kind of integrated into the whole working of the club. This would have been really helpful a couple of years ago, but I like how it kind of puts everything kind of in a nice package about it.
I want to do over presidential year so I can do better after having all of these tools in front of me. Do over.
You know, that this kind of Jeff brings up a good point, but I will also point out to you as a past president of a club that if you take a look at the that IS2, those are the kind of questions you should be asking yourself about just about any kind of project your club's going to work on.
Well, if I could follow up with something there, Jeff, I agree with you wholeheartedly. In some ways, we don't blow our own horn enough in the community about what we're actually doing. It's almost self-satisfying that we raise money for certain things and do certain things. But I don't think the community, the larger community as a whole, knows the good that we do. So we need to do a little better job of blowing our own horn.
You know, you're absolutely right. As a matter of fact, if you get involved with us at the district level or an RI bill on a district community grant or a global grant, one of the questions we're going to ask you in the reports is, what have you done to promote this program that you're doing? And we're going to require you or ask you to furnish us photographic proof that the project that you did is viable and good for your community or the community you're supporting.
Exactly. Yep.
Just to go back to a review that we talked about a session or two ago, if you come up with a program that's about $250 up to $2,000, we will match you dollar for dollar at the district. Global grants operate a little differently, but the matching situation still exists. The numbers are just a little different. I think most of the clubs, because of their size in our district, are more prone to look at the local grants or the community grants. So if you've got a program you want to promote, we'll match you up to $2,000. The dates for the application have been set for that. I can tell you it's going to be from 1 June to 15 July this year. How many grants we can support is still a question mark. We'll find that out in the next few months. But right now, I think we could support just about any application that's made during that period of time. Any questions for me?
I have a question for Thomas. Are you going to be at Pets in a couple of weeks?
I don't know yet.
If you do, I could just imagine how excited you are.
Well, it's not that I'm not excited. I've been traveling a ton for my job, and I don't know if I I don't know if I can get away again.
Understood. It's going to be a lot of fun, and going through RGA, if you do get a chance to go to PETS, you're just going to find it a lot more tolerable.
Well, let me ask you this: if I could just get away for a couple of days, I mean, would it be worth it just to be there for? Is it Thursday, Friday, Saturday?
It is. It's Thursday. It's Thursday afternoon, all day Friday, Saturday morning.
Okay. What if I can't attend the Saturday session? Would that be okay?
Yes. Let's put it
Okay.
this way: it would be much better for you to be there Thursday and Friday, and not be able to sit through Saturday than not go to the whole thing.
Okay. That may be what I have to do.
Hey, Thomas, if I can just say one thing about the pets, and I think going through RGA is going to be so much more helpful. I remember the first year I went to PEDS, things were going over my head. The second year they started to sink in. And if you haven't been to PEDS before, it definitely does help you coming into your presidential year. So I just want to share that with you. If you can possibly work it to be there throughout, you're going to be glad that you did. I just want to say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, as a past president, and I'm sure Jeff would agree with me, it's a good program, and the Friday programs have most of the meat.
Yep.
Jeff has already tasked the District Foundation for a 1-hour session, and I met with District Governor Tom Walker day before yesterday, and we will be giving a 40-minute presentation on both district grants and global grants during PETS.
Well, and don't misinterpret my reaction as not being excited. It's more of frustration that I know that I really need to be there, and I'm just trying to figure out a way to make it happen. Honestly.
Well, the reason I brought it up is that over the last year or two, we've really tried to have Rio Grande Academy be kind of like the pre-PETS awareness, because going to PETS, if you haven't been indoctrinated to this stuff, can be very overwhelming. Because you pretty much, I mean, if you think about it, we're doing this, you know, we're spending 3 or 4 hours on leadership and 3 or 4 hours on membership and all that. You go to PETS and you get all of it in this kind of condensed fire hose approach. And if you're going through Rio Grande Academy, you're already kind of acclimated to a lot of the content. Then when you go to PETS, a lot of it's already familiar to you. And I told Tom Walker, I said, you know, what I'd like to see is that when people go to PETS, it's almost like the culmination of their preparation, not you're going to get everything and figure everything out. You go through Rio Grande Academy, you get acclimated to it, and then you go to PETS, and it's kind of like putting a ribbon on it.
I totally agree with you, Jeff. From my standpoint, I would suggest that you will hear some things about various programs, such as the ones I just talked about. But what's important are the people that are behind those programs that can support you.
Right.
Such as myself when it comes to grants, and the 2 people that work with me on global grants and district grants. That's what's important, is to support people rather than the programs themselves. Because if you've done what you've just done going through the academy, you already know what the programs are. Now you need to know who to work with.
Very good point. Bill, did you have?
No, I'm getting ready to wrap this up. I got to get going here, guys. So I was going to say goodbye.
Okay. Well, we are finished, correct, Dom?
I am.
Okay. So we'll see you all Wednesday or Thursday. We thank you all very much, and have a great rest of your evening.
And I gotta say, it's been great to work with you. You're great people.
Thank you all very much.